In central Greece, on the mountain of Pelion, there is a small village named Siki. Once, there lived a boy, Yorgos. He was a clever, strong boy, and he loved hunting birds and jackrabbits. One day, his father asked him to go and work out in the fields. He had to hoe the soil around the olive trees. He climbed on his horse and took the path that led out of the village to the fields. As he was trotting down the path, he heard his name, Yorgo! He looked back. There was at the beginning of the path his best friend with his goats. He waited for him. The day was turning out to be interesting. The whole day passed with hard work, but also jokes and laughter. When the night fell, they decided to stay out in the fields. They found a flat place under the trees and they put together offsets and greens, creating their shakedowns in order to sleep. But before going to sleep, Yorgos had another idea. Let's go and gather some crabs. A few minutes later, they were running down to the cliffs. It was a beautiful, warm summer night. The moon was shedding its light and lighted their way, not that they needed it. They knew their way to the sea as well as the back of their hands. They arrived at the seashore, at the place where crabs lived. They could see the crabs walking sideways on the rocks. Their shells shimmered in the dark night, reflecting the moonlight. They moved quietly on the rocks, and Yorgos took out a cloth bag. Then they both started picking up crabs with their bare hands and putting them in the cloth bag. They only stopped when the bag was full. They took their way back to the shakedowns between the olive trees. Although they were hungry, they were too tired to light a fire and roast some crabs to eat. Tomorrow, they said, we will have a crab party at the village. They fastened a knot at the end of the cloth bag, hung it on a branch of an olive tree, and lay down to their cool green mattresses. They were so tired, they immediately fell asleep. In the bag, the crabs were quite uncomfortable. One of them used its pincer against the bottom of the bag, and slowly there was a hole. One crab after the other would get out from that hole, climb up the bag and onto the tree, setting itself free. The hours passed. When dawn showed her rosy fingers, the birds were singing and flying from one branch to another. Bees were buzzing, all greens were sending their enchanting scents. And Yorgos and his friend woke up from a strange noise they had never heard before. Crack, crack, crack. Yorgos opened his eyes and looked up. There were crabs on the branches of the olive tree above his head. There were crabs on the tree. There were crabs falling from the tree, one after the other, hitting each other's shells. Crack! And everywhere around the olive grove there were crabs walking sideways on the grass. He took the cloth bag in his hands. At the bottom, he only found a big hole. They didn't eat crabs that time, but they earned a story they would always remember and tell to their grandchildren.